Hello, people. It's a fine, great day. It's a great spring day. I am JT, aka the Master, and up as you see up here, for No Reason Fantasy Football. It's that time. Tasting my coffee. And let's start this show off. Let's bring this show into what we have. And this week on For No Reason Fantasy Football, we're going to do a NFL. I know the NFL was 2 weeks ago. We're going to do a draft review, part 2. I ended it up with the New England Patriots, and we're going to continue it with the New Orleans Saints in alphabetical order, all the way down to the last team, which was the Washington Commanders. Now, the Washington Commanders didn't let pick last, but we're doing this in alphabetical order, like I said. And we're going to be talking about, like I said, the draft grades. All right? I'm going to go down to and talk about what the team did in their draft. Some teams didn't have a first round, and other teams, the majority of teams did, quite naturally. And we're going to talk about the drafts, and I'm expecting my co-host to come up here shortly. And then once we're going to talk about that, I'll go down, like I said, the players that they drafted from the first round, or if not the first round, the second or third round, wherever they had the first pick in their draft, to the last, whether it's the 7th or the 6th round, depending on what they did with those picks, and talk about how well they did or how well they didn't do. Now, it quite naturally, just because you get picked in the 7th round, I don't dismiss any player, okay? And as we go on throughout the summer, spring and summer, I should say, leading up to fantasy football, we'll talk about that. And maybe you want to put a comment, or you have some type of ideas. Give me a like. Give me a like in the YouTube. Give me a like. I would appreciate it. Definitely would appreciate it. Let me know that you're watching. You're able to see and hear my broadcast. And if you like it, okay, that's a good thing in my book. But I want to go down to the list of players that got drafted with the rest of the teams, from New Orleans Saints down to the Washington Commanders. And I'm going to bring my esteemed co-host, not hating on him, even though he's got a Washington Commander jersey on. I'm not hating on him. He's a loyal fan. I appreciate that, being a loyal fan. And he's got it looks like either Antonio Gibson. No, Antonio Gibson is 24. 21. Who is 21 of the Washington Commanders?
It doesn't say Commanders, does it? What does it say? What does that say?
What are they called?
I understand that, but you're trying to think of a commander wearing 21. Nobody on the Commanders wears 21.
Who on the Redskins? The Redskins, an inflammatory name. Who on that team? I'm not gonna say the name. Who on that team wore 21? I'm trying to think.
I'm gonna let you think about it while I share your link to my places, because that's really disrespectful, especially the way you talking about it. Oh, I'm gonna let my blood pressure simmer down now.
Well, let me ask you a question. Rather than keep us in suspense, why don't you just come out and say who played for that?
Anybody that follows football knows who the person that wore 21 in a throwback Washington Command or Redskins uniform. And don't even try to type it up. I see you typing or looking at the other screen.
I'm trying to think. I don't think it was Sean Taylor, was it?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
The last and only person to ever wear 21.
Okay. And I didn't type it up or look it anywhere. I just had to reflect.
Whatever. Somebody told you.
No one told me. You know I'm that guy. Trust me.
No, you're not, because you couldn't even get the first. No, you're not.
You're right. And then I had to think about it. Once I thought about it, then I realized, yeah, it was Sean Taylor. Because I wasn't really paid. I saw the color, and everything else kind of tuned out. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I kind of tuned out. I wasn't even looking at the name. I just saw the color and the number. I'm saying, who on in Washington Commanders? Then you pointed out where above the 21 in front of you. It was the other name. I'm not playing that other name. It was the other name.
I got it. I understand that part.
Okay.
But you should know there's only one player permitted. Okay.
You're right.
They retired the jersey last year.
Okay. Shamefully how they retired it, but that's
I will agree with that.
That's another story.
Was a mannequin.
Yeah.
However,
yeah.
I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that now. How some teams disrespect the player, but
or give players that are disrespectful like fully guaranteed money,
or make players. I'm not going to say name the organization, but I think you know who I'm going to be talking about. Make players pay for their meals.
Well, I'll tell you what, they're not the only ones that do that. We can mention them, the Arizona Cardinals, Bill Bidwell, because Bill Bidwell currently is under investigation for a litany of offenses that go beyond football.
Yeah, what else is new about an owner?
So
what else is new about an owner, man?
I got it, but he's not the only one.
Yeah, I know.
To be honest.
Yeah.
I'm going to share this on a third streamer.
Okay.
Oh, I can't because you only allowed two. Okay. But just to let everybody know.
Yeah.
This is not the Extra Points show. I might bring that one back. But this is Mr. FSP to you.
Yeah, well, let me
Give my full name. Give me my respect.
Let me.
That's an inside joke.
I do. Every time I mention you, I say Mr. FSP.
I know, but you don't say Mr. Fantasy Sports and Politics. That's the point. That is the point.
No
Mr.
problem.
Fantasy Sports and Politics.
No problem, Mr. FSP.
Then you did it again.
Wait a minute. Just listen to what I'm going to say. For now, Mr. FSP is no longer where I'm going to say. I'm going to say Mr. Fantasy Sports and Politics. How's that?
To you. That's the full name. Mr. Fantasy Sports Politics to you.
Well, you don't have it on.
Yeah, you don't see that to you right there?
Wait a minute. Well, so let me ask you this then. I mean, we're gonna go around in circles with this. I already told you I want 4 No Reason fantasy football, not no 4NR. I want my name completely out there. So, do you want Mr. FSP to you, or do you want it to be Fantasy Sports and Politics? That's
Mr. Fantasy Sports and Politics to you.
Yeah, but you don't have that anywhere. You don't have that anywhere.
My name. That's my name.
Wait a minute. You're not understand. You're not.
I know what you're saying. I don't have my logo say the to you part, but I don't need that. But it addressing me.
Wait a minute. You understand something here. understand what I'm trying to convey to you is
I know
this.
what you're trying to do. I know.
My name is out there completely as I want people to call me. Your name, you got to go through gyrations and to get your name. Because
hey, if you're
right
too old, we know you just, ladies and gentlemen, Mr.
FSP
Taylor.
to you. That's what it is. But you said no, fantasy sports or politics, but it's not out there. But it's not out there like that.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. You're older now. You're a little bitter. We know you're a little, you know.
Wait. Why you got
He's a happy Cinco de Mayo, ladies and gentlemen. Let's wish him a happy belated birthday.
Why do you have to disparage me like that? I
didn't disparage you. I mean, said you're older. Happy belated birthday. See, ladies and gentlemen.
You always. Let me put it this way, people. I'm telling you. Anytime you listen to us on a podcast, Mr. FSP to you. I'm looking at it. What it says,
Mr. Fantasy Sports and Politics to you.
I have a hard time saying that because I don't see it anywhere. I don't see.
You don't see it on my name right there. My name's right there.
No, it's not. It says at Fantasy Sports and Politics.
No, what does that say before?
It says at Fantasy
No,
Sports.
it doesn't. It says Mr. F. Okay, fine. Magic Man 1954. That's what I'm gonna start calling you.
No, because I have my name completely written out in plain English. Okay, completely written out. It's For No Reason fantasy football.
No reason is not a compound word. That's a compound word up there.
What I have out there is what I am. For No Reason fantasy football.
For no reason.
Exactly. That's the catchy name. You can't. Let's move forward. You have Mr. FSP to you. I have to call you that unless you put it out there and play this.
Mr. Fantasy Sports and Politics to you. Thank you very much.
I don't see it anywhere.
Just like you don't want to be.
In fact, we're going back. We're going back and forth in 10, 15 minutes on this.
But just like you don't want to be the master plan anymore.
It's not.
Exactly. I don't want to be just referred to as Mr. FSP. It's Mr. Fantasy Sports Politics to you.
Really? I thought it was extra point because that's what I'm seeing in back.
That's a backdrop.
Yeah.
That's a backdrop. I have multiple backdrops, and you know this.
Well, it's pretty confusing to people. Are you Mr. FSP to you or extra point? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'll say the same. Are you For No Reason Fans Football or JT or Magic Man 1954?
You know what I am right behind.
No, I know what you are. But keep going. Let's go back to the draft.
See, people, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, he's got the mentality I'm dealing with, but that's okay.
This is what Jerry does on my show. He's
a young buck. I understand. He's got to be right all the time.
I'm wearing my Sean Taylor jersey. So I'm ready for some hits.
But that's okay. Anyway,
attitude. I gotta give you attitude.
Yeah, I know that. Just typical TSA, but that's okay. And we move on. Yeah, we move on. And we're going to talk about, like I said, we're going to talk about the review of the NFL 2023 NFL draft. And we stopped off, like I said, at the New England Patriots, and we'll continue on with the New Orleans Saints, who had 7, 8 picks, and did have and I'm surprised that they were so far down, but they did some wheeling and dealing and wound up with the 29th pick in the first round to start their draft, who they drafted a defensive lineman, Brian Brees from Clemson. In the second round, they went Isaiah Foskey from Notre Dame, an edge rusher. Then they went, this is interesting, a third round pick, a running back, Kendra Miller from TCU. And then they had 2 picks in the 4th round. Offensive tackle Nick Saldiveri from Old Dominion, and a quarterback, which is another interesting, Jake Hayner from Fresno State. In the 5th round, they picked up a safety, a Jordan Howden in Minnesota, and rounded it off. Their last pick in the 6th round was a wide receiver, A.T. Perry from Wake Forest. I'm surprised that, I'm not surprised, because they did pick up in the 1st and 2nd round 2 defensive linemen who they had lost to free agency, and the 2 defensive. They needed defensive help on the line, and they picked up in the first 2 rounds Brees and Foskey from Clemson and Notre Dame, respectively. Mr. FSP, they picked up 8 picks, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 7 or 8 picks in the draft. What's your thoughts? And give me a grade on the New Orleans Saints.
Who's Mr. FSP?
Mr. FSP, to you. Talk to me.
Yes.
Jesus
Okay.
Christ.
Listen.
And that's typical of TSA. Petty,
that
petty,
is not
petty.
typical of TSA. Stop blaming everything on TSA.
Petty,
Listen.
petty.
Yeah, petty, yes. Not TSA all the time. All right, so, my grade on New Orleans. First of all, I want to say the Fresno State quarterback in the 5th round is a steal. He was the MVP of the Reese Senior Bowl, and I will tell he does need work. He does need work, but he is the future of New Orleans after Derek Carr's contract. That I do believe that. I do believe that because he needs some seasoning, and if he learns from Derek Carr, he'll grow to be a very productive quarterback. So I think that is a jewel of a pick for them. Did they address all their needs? Again, the way I give the grade is based upon the division. Did they address their needs and the value of the pick?
Okay.
So I'm not really worried about, schedule, because we don't know the schedule. We know who they'll play. We don't know when they'll play them. But if the pick is going to be there for the future, or is it a now pick? What they did was they drafted players for the now and the future. They didn't get the defensive line help, like you said, early on. To be frank, there aren't that many good D tackles that came out in this draft. There were several, but not worth picking where they were picking in the 1st round. So I gave them a B-, low C+ area, mainly because some things were addressed, but not everything they need to be successful. But good enough, that's why it's a B-, C+, to be a little competitive in the AFC South, who I think Atlanta's going to run away with.
You gave him a C+? Is that what you get?
Yeah, B-, C+, yeah.
Okay. That it's comparable to what PFF gave him. They gave him a B-. So
that's what I said, B-, C+.
Okay, no problem.
I didn't even know that.
Well, let me put it this way, and I'll make the people aware. This is draft grades that I got from PFF, and I just want to see Mr. FSP where he stands on comparable to PFF, Pro Football Focus, which is a website that analyzes every position and analyzes football in general. Let me put it that way. And puts grades on various things and within football, players, teams, and then what we're doing, the draft. And I just wanted to see or have the thoughts of Mr. FSP to you come out. Okay?
Again,
look.
Well, no, you're right. And I'm Pro Football Focus is owned and operated by Chris Collinsworth.
Yes.
He has Gronkowski, the quarterback, as one of the Raiders. He has several former NFL players help rate every position.
Okay.
And it's becoming one of the premier analytical sites
Yeah. Yeah.
for sports.
Yep.
So
That's
I'm not saying I'm that great or anything like that, but to be comparable is decent.
yeah. So I decided to go this route to give a to help enlighten the people, and maybe some people didn't know about Pro Football Focus, but it does give you very good analytics. And I'm a numbers type of guy, and these guys are very good on numbers. Okay, let me put it this way: let's get down past the New Orleans Saints to the New York Football Giants, who had 7 picks. Didn't have a 4th round pick, but had every pick in each round, like I said, except the 4th, and had 2 picks in the 7th round. With their first pick, which was the 24th pick in the first round of the draft, they picked up a cornerback, Deonte Banks, from Maryland. Then they went to the offensive line, which they needed help. Center John Michael Schmitz from Minnesota. Then they went and got some speed on the outside because they definitely were in need of a wide receiver, and they picked up a speedster from Tennessee, Jalen Hyatt. Saquon Barkley probably doesn't have anything to worry about with this next pick because they picked up a running back, Eric Gray from Oklahoma. Then in the 6th pick, they picked up a cornerback, Trey Hawkins III from Old Dominion. And in the last 2 picks in the 7th round were a defensive tackle, Jordan Riley from Oregon, and a safety, Javarius Owens from Houston. Mr. FSP, Deontay Michaels, John Michael Schmitz, Jalen Hyland, Eric Gray, Trey Hawkins, Jordan Riley, and Javarius Owens, all are drafted by the New York Giants. What do you think?
Waiting for you to say my name.
Say again?
Just waiting for you to say my name. What's my name?
Mr. FSP to you. Come on, man.
Thank you. I mean, you did the same thing. I'm just doing what you did. All right. So, enough of the foolishness stuff.
Thank you.
I'm talking to you, but
yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
So
this is what I deal with, people.
I know this is what I deal with.
I'm trying to get through the
Y'all
program.
need to tune in every Saturday. Well, not this Saturday, but every Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, Fantasy Sports and Politics, hosted by me, Mr. FSP2U, along with For No Reason Fantasy Football guy here, Jerry Taylor. We discuss this stuff, and we have a great time doing it. It's much like this, except a little more animated. I'm trying not to be as animated. I'm just giving back what I get, but on a smaller scale.
You know, that's very immature. So go ahead. Go ahead.
I really like the Giants draft because they got the 3rd best corner, in my opinion, talent-wise.
Yep.
Later in the draft. They got Mr. Hyatt, who is a monster, or was a monster with my boy at Tennessee, Hendon Hooker, the go-to guy. The absolute truth of the matter is, you made a comment that Saquon ain't got nothing to worry about. I'm going to tell you, Saquon better not think like that. Better not think like that. He doesn't have a long-term contract. He didn't sign his franchise yet. That kid can play from Oklahoma. He needs to be more consistent. Yes, he can play. I see that Brian Daboll and the general manager of the Giants, they spread out their needs and addressed them. They went and got a strong, big, tough cornerback that Wink Martindale likes to use, especially for man-to-man. I'm really tempted to give the Giants an A. Okay. But yeah, I'm gonna give A-, only because I really like what they did to be competitive.
Okay.
Did they get somebody just in case Danny Dimes doesn't work out and they can develop? No. Should they have? Yes. If they would have got a quarterback to, just like New Orleans, we just talked about New Orleans, did to prepare in a couple years, once Danny Dimes' contract is no longer guaranteed, I would have gave him an A+ or a straight A. But I give him an A- for what they did. I think they addressed their needs pretty much.
Okay.
And they're going to be competitive in the division.
Pro Football Focus gave me A+. Okay, you're spot on. Okay, let's move on to the New York Jets, who had
your favorite team.
3, 6, 7, 7 picks. Come on, man, stop. When are you going to stop? Please stop.
Never.
Come on, stop.
Can't stop.
Anyway,
stop.
one of my former teams. I'm gonna say this. One of my former teams was the New York Jets. One of my former teams, the Houston Texans. We already went to the Houston Texans. Now we're going to go to the New York Jets, which in my opinion, and just my opinion, and this is all I'm going to say, is that I wasn't impressed with their drafting. I was not impressed with their drafting. And I just going to pass off and say that they picked up in the first round with their 15th pick. They moved down with the trade with the in order to get Aaron Rodgers. They moved from the 13th to the 15th pick. The 15th pick was the Green Bay Packers. That's one of the things that was involved in the trade. They picked up an edge rusher, Will McDonald. Second round, they picked up a center, Joe Tipman from Wisconsin. I like that pick because Wisconsin pushes out very good offensive linemen. Then he went to the fourth round because they didn't have a third round pick, an offensive tackle, Carter Warren from Pittsburgh. Fifth round pick, Israel Abanikanda. Now, I do like that pick, even though he may not get that much run unless there's something going on with the running backs from Pittsburgh. 2 6th-round picks in linebacker Zaire Bonds from Western Michigan and a cornerback, Jarek Bernard-Converse from LSU. And their third and last pick in the 6th round was a tight end, Zach Kuntz from Old Dominion. Old Dominion been pushing out some players. Mm-hmm. Talk to me, Mr. FSP, about the New York Football Jets.
You keep forgetting that most important part.
Mr. FSP to you. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Don't be me.
Petty.
So the Jets did have a very good draft. You forgot the most important piece they got in that draft. Aaron Rodgers. As you said, part of the trade was the draft picks. So in essence, Aaron Rodgers was part of that draft. I would say this. They're not picking up Mekhi Becton's option this year. His 5th-year option.
He can't stay healthy.
That's part of my point.
Yeah.
If they weren't, if it's a wake-up call and a sign of support. That the wake-up call is, hey, buddy, you got this last year to prove to us that you're worth it. We're going to be a free agent. And we're not going to draft a left tackle that can really compete with you. So this is your job, at least for this year. So I would say the Jets really didn't need a great deal of things. I would definitely say that. Now they have their quarterback. They got another running back to add to the 2 that they already got. Of course, Breece Hall is coming off the ACL injury. And I forgot the other kid.
Michael Carter.
And
he held his own. So, I mean.
Yeah. So, and you add a third back to that mix.
Yeah.
Coupled with the veteran wide receivers they picked up. All not world beaters, but Alan Lazard knows Aaron Rodgers. Randall Cobb can be a mentor to those receivers, knows Aaron Rodgers. The offensive rookie of the year, Garrett Wilson, my dude, right? You got Hardeman, who might even get cut. Corey Davis. They said he's not going to get cut. They're probably going to try to trade him. Running backs, tight ends, Conklin, what's my man, Uzama, and
now they have Coombs
and Kuntz that they drafted, right?
Right.
Offensive line needs a little bit of help, but not much help. Like I said, Mekhi Becton is going to be that link that they need to, keep Aaron Rodgers upright and not having to scramble for his life. On the defensive side of the ball, I told you this last year when they drafted Sauce and your boy from Oregon. Now, the boy from Oregon surprised me. He was on the money every game. I mean, he even had some games, especially when they played Washington, where he just Thibodeau, I believe his name was. He stood up. Right? So even though the Jets didn't have a great draft, they had a good draft. And good to me equals a B. A B minus. Because they didn't have much to change or fix.
That was spot on. That's what the PFF had, a B minus.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to the next team.
Pro Football Focus. I'm here. I'm about to retire. I need a job. Let's go.
He's not retiring.
Hey, if I don't get that spot, I'm going to retire, bro.
Okay.
That's what the family said, and that's what I'm gonna do. If I don't get that spot, I'm going to retire.
Okay.
And then I'm going to do something I like and see what happens from there.
Okay, no problem. Anyway, let's move on to the your Philadelphia Eagles.
See, and you want to know why I say your Jets? You want to know why I say your Texans? You want to know why I say your molesters? I mean, your Cleveland Browns. Even though I'm a Cleveland Brown fan too.
Okay,
just not as
no
big
problem.
As you.
We already passed Cleveland. That was
I know.
I was on the last episode last week, so we're moving on. We're on the Philadelphia Eagles, and I just said that just to get under Mr. FSPTU's skin.
See, okay. And that's the type of stuff he does on my show every Saturday.
But that's just a little bit to poke the bear. That's all.
A little bit.
That's just a little bit to poke the bear. That's because you're an easy target. You're an easy target.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want Jerry to tell his story, or for no reason. Oh, this is perfect.
For no reason.
For no reason to tell his story that he told yesterday. And you're going to see what type of man For No Reason is. You're going to, and I guarantee you.
And wait.
Tune back in after you hear the
There's always some little bit of tidbit I have in the back of my mind, and I can always throw to you. And I decided to throw that to you yesterday. But whatever.
Oh, you're going to share that story. Going to share that story.
And look, let me put it this way. If you listen to the episode of Fantasy Sports and Politics yesterday, which was 5/6/2023, you'll get the story. Because you know why? That's the only time that I'm going to tell that story.
Oh, don't worry. It'll get shared today, ladies and gentlemen.
That's the only time. And every time, let me put it this way. Every time I bring up that story around my wife, she smiles.
Oh, my God.
She does.
Oh,
she does.
Okay, well, she's going to smile today, then. She's going to smile today.
Because there was a part 2 and a part 3 to that, but I'm not going to go into it.
Oh, my God, there's more? There's more?
There was a part 2 and a part 3, but I'm not going to go into that right now. Anyway.
Oh, we will go into it off air then.
Anyway, so it was ironic. I mean, I had to go through some hoops. Let me put it that way. But it worked out. Let me put it that way. Anyway, let's move on to the next team,
Eagles.
the Philadelphia Eagles, who had, come on, man. The Philadelphia Eagles were one of the best teams, well, the second best team, and I think they had the highest scoring offense in the league, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
They were in the top 3. Let me put it that way.
Kansas City was the top scoring team, scoring 29 points per game.
Okay. Anyway, they were one of the top teams in scoring, and they had a very good defense, and they added to that defense in this draft. I'm telling you, this is the Philadelphia Eagles Bulldogs. Philadelphia Eagles Bulldogs. And when I go down this list, you'll understand what I'm talking about. With their first pick, they had 2 picks. Yeah, the team that went to the Super Bowl, that won the NFC East, that won the NFC conference, had 2 first-round picks and 2 third-round picks in this draft. Unbelievable how
and next year they have a couple more picks too.
Yes,
in the draft.
They had 2, 4, 7 picks. And most of them were very good high. I wouldn't say high, but good solid picks in this draft. And it was Georgia University of Georgia was on display in the Philadelphia's draft. The first round, they had 2. They picked 2 from Georgia. A defensive lineman, Jalen Carter, considered the best player, even though he had character issues off the field.
And by the way, he was the first rounder to sign his contract. He's already locked in.
Yeah, I know he is.
On Thursday.
With the 9th, and they had the 9th pick. You believe? What I'm saying, you believe this, people? They went to the Super Bowl. So most teams that go to the Super Bowl have a very low draft position. Maybe 31 out of 32 teams. They had the 9th pick. One of the first rounds was the 9th pick. The other one was the 30th. Okay. With the 9th pick in the first round, they had Jalen Carter, defensive lineman out of Georgia. Sound familiar? Well, with the 30th pick in the first round, they went back to Georgia and picked up an edge rusher in Nolan Smith. Then they went, these players just fell to them. Unbelievable. They had 2 third-round picks. They picked up an offensive tackle from another heavy NFL drafted team. Offensive tackle Tyler Steen from Alabama. Then they went in the other pick in the 30, had back-to-back picks in the 3rd round. Safety, Sidney Brown from Illinois. Then they decided to go in the 4th round back to Georgia, pick up a cornerback, Keely Ringo. And then they decided to, in the 6th round, pick up a quarterback, Tanner McKee from Stanford. And in the 7th round, to round off their draft, they had another defensive lineman, Moro Ojomo from Texas. Talk to me about the Philadelphia Eagles draft.
It's an A. It is a straight out A. And we've talked about this briefly. Literally, Philadelphia has the 2021, 2022 national champion Georgia defense. Their whole front 4, Georgia. Their linebacker, starting middle linebacker, Georgia. Cornerback to go with Slay and old boy, Georgia. Safety, Georgia. And I agree. And then they got a left tackle or a right tackle. And I told you they were going to do that, Jerry. I told you they were going to get a right tackle because either Lane Johnson or because Lane Johnson's on his last a couple of legs. I understand he's tough as nails. They didn't get the center to prepare for Kelsey's departure, but I knew they were going to get a tackle to at least get ready for Lane Johnson's eventual retirement. Philly is geared to make a second run. There was a tweet, a legit tweet DeAndre Swift put out after the trade, which was a day 3 trade.
Okay.
And they got him for a steal.
So tell me where DeAndre Swift played football.
Oh, Detroit.
No.
In Georgia. I know.
Yes.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
In Georgia.
I was getting there. But he said he changed his number to 0 because that's how many times the Cowboys have been into the NFC Championship game. He literally tweeted that.
Is that right?
I am not making this up.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So, with that being said, DeAndre Swift, another Georgia product, is a part of the draft. We didn't have many players get traded during the draft or for draft picks prior to. I think he was the very first player, and that happened in the 5th round, where they got a 5th round this year.
No,
and
they got
a 7th round.
They got a 4th round. 4th round this year and the 7th next year.
Yeah, 4th round this year, the 7th next year. Now the guy needs to stay healthy, but think about it. In that platoon system Philadelphia employs, he's going to stay healthy. He's going to be a monster with Jalen Hurts, AJ, Slim Reaper, Dallas Goedert. Listen to what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm giving him a straight A, almost an A+, because you're getting Kobe Dean falling to you at 30. Oh, Nolan. I'm sorry. Nolan falling to you at 30. Kobe Dean was last year. Wow.
yeah. Wow. Right.
I mean, I can't root for them because they're in my same division. But if my team don't make it nowhere, I'm rooting for Detroit, Philly, Cincinnati, and maybe Buffalo.
How many teams you gonna root for, man?
How many teams you gonna move to?
Well, you just named 4 teams, and I moved to 3 teams to my 3rd team.
I said this is the team I support. Well, no longer this name, but this is the team I support.
Okay,
but I'm going to root for the others.
Well,
difference.
Okay, then we move on.
What did PFF give them? A, B?
Just relax. I was just about to tell you. Football Focus.
Well, you said move on, so
yeah, but then I also said I started to say something before I got interrupted. So Pro Football Focus gave them A+. Okay.
I mean, great minds think. Well, we haven't agreed on some of the grades, but close enough.
Okay. So we move on to further west in Pennsylvania to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who also had 7 picks. One pick in the 1st round, 2 picks in the 2nd round, and a pick in the 3rd, 4th, and 2 picks in the 7th. We'll start it off with they need help, and they went. Where else? These Pennsylvania teams like going to Georgia. They went to Georgia with their first pick, which was the 14th pick. I think they probably stole this pick from the Jets, but it's an offensive tackle, Broderick Jones. In the 2nd round, they picked up a namesake that they know very well, and Joey Porter Jr., son of Joey Porter, who used to play for the Steelers from Penn State. And they picked up also a defensive lineman in the 2nd round, Keanu Benton from Wisconsin. Then they went back to Georgia. They picked up the huge tight end in the 3rd round, Darnell Washington. And then in the 4th round, they picked up an edge rusher in Nick Herbig from Wisconsin. And in the 7th round, they didn't have a 5th and a 6th round pick. So they had 2 7th round picks in cornerback Corey Trice and offensive guard Spencer Henderson. Trice from Purdue, Anderson from Maryland. Talk to me about the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Pittsburgh's a good team. They went big. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Every player they got is huge.
Yeah.
Porter is probably the smallest guy they got, and I believe he's like 6'2", 212, 215.
I think he's 6'1", maybe 6'2". I think you're right about that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But him, Patrick Peterson, about the same build.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's going to play probably a little bit more safety along with Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Right.
But if you look at their team, they went big by design. Washington, you pairing him with Freiermuth, they didn't draft for need. They draft for quantity and the future. And when you look at their division, it's they didn't draft quite as good as I would like, but they got quality. They got quality. Outside of Washington going in the third round, which is their biggest value pick, I got to give them a C, only because I think they could have gotten a few other players. But the left tackle was a big need. The tight end was not a big need, but you got a value pick. You see what I mean about when I say it could have been better?
Mm-hmm.
Joey Porter, value pick because he dropped to the second round, but it was the first pick in the second round. So I gave him an average grade.
Okay. PFF gave me A+, but okay, that's no problem. Whatever. Can't be perfect on every pick, or allegedly perfect. All right, Mr. FSP to you. We'll go. You like that? Okay. You like that? I got to get used to saying that, but that's no problem. Ain't got no problem with that. It's just that's the way you want to be called. That's what I'm going to call you. We'll go to San Francisco 49ers, who had no first or second round pick. One of the few teams that didn't have a first or second round pick. Cleveland was another one of them, along with, if I'm not mistaken, the Denver Broncos. Third round, they had 3 picks. Safety, Jair Brown from Penn State. A kicker, Jake Moody from Michigan. A tight end, Cameron Latu from Alabama. And then they didn't have the 4th round. They went to 2 5th-round picks. Cornerback Darrell Luter Jr. from South Alabama. And edge rusher Robert Beal Jr. from Georgia. 6th round, they went to linebacker D. Winters from TCU. In the 7th round, they had 3 picks. Tight end Brayton Wills from Oklahoma, wide receiver Ronnie Bell from Michigan, and with their last pick in the 7th round, linebacker Jalen Graham from Purdue. Talk to me about the San Francisco 49ers without a first or second round pick, starting in the 3rd round and going down to the last the 7th round. Talk to me about the San Francisco 49ers.
I think they did a decent job. I'll give you the grade first. I think they got, for not having 2 first-round picks, I got to give them a C+, mainly because the needs were filled, but they were lower-end players because they traded away their picks for Christian McCaffrey and Trey Lance, right? They were attempting to shop Trey Lance. There were no takers. But they're going to have a room of quarterbacks that one isn't going to be happy. Sam Darnold is not going to want to be the 3rd-string quarterback. Trey Lance thinks he's the future, but Brock Purdy, once he comes back from his injury, is that starter. So, like I said, a C+ for what they did. I'm interested in seeing how that defense will run without D'Amico Ryans, because they're not too young on defense. They got some people that are seasoned, but at some point you got to start thinking.
Yep.
I need to get ready for Bosa's replacement.
Yep.
I got to get ready for Warner's eventual replacement because Warner's starting to get a little nicked up.
Yep.
But he's still phenomenal. He got a big contract. And typically when you give a player a big contract, on the back end is where you're going to lose that player because there's no more guaranteed money and they're not going to hit your salary cap that much. So you bring in a player from college or free agency, whatever, and give them a year or 2 to get caught up before you let that player go. I think that's what they did, but a C+ is what I gave them.
Okay. C-. C. You gave him a C-, C+, C+?
C+.
PFF C-. All right, let's move on to the Seattle Seahawks with Geno as the quarterback.
Good. God help him.
Seattle had a plethora. 7, 8, 9, 10 picks Seattle had. no third round pick, and multiple fourth, fifth round picks, and only one sixth round pick and a seventh round pick. But I think they did. I think they did really well in this draft, picking up these players. With their first pick, they had number 5, the number 5th pick. They had the number 5 pick in the first round. They picked up I really like this kid, a cornerback from Devin Witherspoon from Illinois. Second round, a wide receiver, one of the best wide receivers in this draft, Jackson Smith-Njigba from Ohio State. They had two second-round picks in edge rusher Derek Hall from Auburn, and I like this kid too, running back, Zach Charbonnet from UCLA. 2 fourth-round picks in a guard Anthony Bradford from LSU and defensive lineman Cameron Young from Mississippi State. 2 fifth-round picks in edge rusher Mike Morris from Michigan, and also a center Olusegun Oluwatimi from Michigan. And a 6th-round pick in Jarek Reed II from New Mexico, and rounded it off with another running back, Kenny McIntosh, what else, from Georgia. Talk to me about Seattle and their draft.
Seattle did a couple good things here. The one thing that they did not do is get that quarterback for the future. I think they want to get – they're not going to tank for Caleb Williams, not with the draft that they got, not with the talent they got. But I guess they think next year's quarterback crop is going to be better than this year's quarterback crop. And it could be. But that was something I thought they needed to address. And they did not. I like the picks. I really do. You get Njigba, you get Wilson at the top, and Njigba with their second first-round pick.
Yes.
They pick up a lot of defensive players. They get a tight end, a running back.
They got 2 running backs, no tight end.
Oh, I thought you said tight end.
No.
But okay, a running back that is he's going to be an understudy. Understudy. I don't see him getting much play at all. Only because I think Walker is that guy for real. But grade wise, I'm looking at a B+, B-, somewhere in there. A B+ to a B. A B to a B+.
Okay, PFF gave me an A, but in my opinion, Zach Charbonnet is probably going to be in a timeshare with Kenny Walker. Kenny Walker is a banger. He's a banger type of running back, means that if you're a banger, you're more likely to get hurt. And if you're a banger, you're more likely to be in a committee, because the fact is you're more likely your odds of getting hurt being a banger is higher than if you're a more shiftier back like Zach Charbonnet. So I'm thinking he's going to be, because Seattle loves to run the football, and they like to use multiple backs to run the football, and I think that's what's going to happen. But you gave him a comparable grade to what PFF gave them, so we'll move on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who had 8 picks, if I'm not mistaken, had 8 picks in this draft. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 picks. I'm sorry, and had the 19th pick in the first round. They picked up a defensive lineman, Kalijah Cansey from Pittsburgh. Second round, offensive tackle Cody Mock from North Dakota State. Third round, Yaya Diaby from Louisville, an edge rusher. 5th round, another defensive player, linebacker Sovokie Dennis from Pittsburgh also. 6th round, they picked up cornerback Josh Haynes from Kansas State, and also a tight end Payne Durham from Purdue. and Trey Palmer, a wide receiver from Nebraska, and also an edge rusher, Jose Ramirez, Eastern Michigan. And in the last pick in the 7th round, they picked up a cornerback, Carrington Valentine from Kentucky. Talk to me about the TB Buccaneers.
This was a Todd Bowles type draft. I don't think it was spectacular. I think even with my boy Baker, they're going to finish probably 3rd or last in the NFC South. I think this was a draft that Todd Bowles really needed to solidify his job. When you got Godwin, Evans, even though Evans is getting up there, you got a younger running back. Your offensive line needs a lot of patchwork. Your tight end, Otten, is going to be a beast, but you probably don't have the right quarterback to get him the ball on a consistent basis, even though Baker can hit to the tight end. But if Kyle Trask wins that job, a little worried about it. Defensively, you're good, but you draft a lot of defensive players. I think it's going to be boring Bucks football. It's going to be back to Tony Dungy era, but they're not going to be able to win games 10-7. I don't think so. Maybe they can compete like that in the NFC South, but I really think Atlanta's going to put up points. I think New Orleans is going to put up points. And Tampa Bay is going to struggle to put up points. Yeah. It all depends on what happens with Bryce Young. If he can command that offense really well, if they put up a lot of points too. So I gotta give him a C-, man. Maybe even a D. Because I like the players. I just don't like what they did for the team in that division. Remember my criteria.
Mm-hmm. Well, you were pretty far off from that one. Pro Football Focus gave me A-. All right, let's move on to the Tennessee Titans. Getting down to the last few, the last two, and we're getting close to the end of the show. But the Tennessee Titans had 6 picks, none in the 4th, and everything else in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, and 6th and 7th round. So they had 6 picks. And they started off with an offensive tackle, Peter Skoronski from Northwestern. A quarterback in the 2nd round was the Will Levis. Finally, he got picked in the 2nd round. This running back I do not like. He's missing an ace. His 2 ACLs. He had 2 ACLs. He doesn't have an ACL on one of his knees.
Todd Gurley.
Oh my God. What the heck is his name?
I just said Todd Gurley.
Yeah. And but this guy's a little he's smaller and it's not as big as
a little smaller, yeah.
He's 5'9", 5'8", something like that. Running back Tyjae Spears from Tulane. In the 5th round, Josh Wiley in Cincinnati. 6th round, Jalen Duncan in Maryland. And in the 7th round, they picked up a wide receiver, Colton Dowell, at Tennessee Martin. Talk to me about the Tennessee Titans and their draft, who they definitely needed an offensive lineman, and when they picked up one of the best ones in Skoronski.
Yeah. I think Tennessee did a very good job. I don't like the Will Levis pick, but I think it's going to light a fire under him to become a better student.
Yeah,
because that's what I think he needs to be. He has the arm, he has the ability, but I don't think he's a good student. And I think his attitude is going to get in the way of a lot, especially what we saw in the green room during day 1. Yep. And then if you hear the phone call just from Mike Vrabel's end, it sounds like he said, "How you doing?" And I can only infer Levitt said, "I'm pissed off, blah blah blah," because the retort from Vrabel was, "Yeah, I know, but you're here, you're going to be good, blah 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 blah." So, to me, he's going to be the understudy and compete with Malik Willis. And you want to know the truth? I think Malik Willis is going to beat him out. Only reason why I say that is because Malik is the athletic version on that team.
Well, let me ask you, not to interrupt, but let me ask you about Malik Willis. From what I understand, that the Tennessee Titans are down on Malik Willis.
They
and
are.
and I think they realized they may have made a mistake when they drafted him where he drafted him.
They didn't draft him high, though. They didn't
Yeah,
draft him high.
but they drafted him. Let me put it that way. And my question to you is this: do you think he's going to get a fair shot? That's my question.
Yes, because Tannehill is the starter, right? But Tannehill is starting to have a lot of issues that say, I need to retire. Lower back, stuff like that.
Right.
So the preseason games are going to be pivotal to both Willis and Levitz.
Right.
Does Willis have a legit shot? In the preseason, he will. OTAs, he will. Because he knows the system. Or he should know the system. Follow me?
Okay.
Outside of that, I think Levitz has leverage. But I also said when I started this, Levitz needs to become a better student. Willis started 2 games, was terrible. Terrible. They had brought in Josh Dobbs in a week or less than a week, and he looked great for them. That's why Malik is on a short string. That's why Will Levitz was picked. Yes, it seems as though they are down on him, but it's a new general manager, right? Rand Carthon. And he's going to clean house, but he's going to give the young man an opportunity to showcase his talent.
Okay.
Will he be on the chopping block? Maybe. Will they keep all 3 quarterbacks? Possibly. Because the thought process is Tannehill's on his way out. He's on his way down. Tajay Spears, you don't think he's going to be that good? He single-handedly beat USC, man.
That's in college.
Listen,
that's in college.
I understand that. I understand that. It was in college with a lesser team that beat a top 5 team with the Heisman Trophy winner. And you know how they beat him? They gave Tajay Spears the ball in the second half because they were getting blown out in the first half trying to throw the ball. Tajay Spears won that game on his own.
I'm telling you, man.
So I get what you're saying. I get it. But don't be surprised if Tajay Spears takes the second position away from the young kid from last year. And in a year or 2 becomes a starter. Don't be surprised. Grade-wise, I give Tennessee a B plus actually, because I love the Skoronski pick. Okay. I love the Tajay Spears pick. And they got a couple other players. The value pick and the reason why you got Levitz, I like it. I don't like Levitz, but I like that they got the quarterback where they got him, and for the foreseeable future might be the guy. So I give him a B plus.
Okay. PFF gave him an A. And to go on top of what you talked about, Will Levis, I think the quarterback room may be a little toxic.
Why do you say that?
Because unless he changes his attitude, in my opinion, that Will Levis will make that room toxic. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, but I mean, we only got a couple teams left, but why would you say Will Levis is going to make that room toxic?
His attitude. You got a quarterback, and I've been trying to think of the quarterback.
Ryan Leaf?
No.
Jeff George?
Yes, either Jeff George or what was the quarterback from the Bears that they got drafted by the Bears, and he went to Indianapolis. Not Indianapolis. He went to, oh my God, where'd he go? Did he go to the Raiders too? I'm trying to think who that kid was.
How long ago did the Bears draft him?
Oh, damn. I can't remember his name.
I mean, I know about the time frame. I can think of the name.
I know Brandon Marshall loved him.
Oh, bruh.
Yeah.
Leave my dude alone. You talking about Mr. Smoke a cigarette on the sideline, retired with the Miami Dolphins. Jay Cutler. The Broncos drafted him.
Yes, the Broncos. I'm sorry.
He went to Chicago. Then he went to
yeah.
To Miami.
So yeah. He may have that type of attitude of Jeff Cutler or
Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler or what's the other quarterback you named?
You're right. The Bears did draft him, and then he went to the Broncos. Say again? Jeff George.
Jeff George. I mean, had a ton of talent, but up here was the problem. Had a ton of talent.
Listen, I can see that, but that's why I said, depending on his ability to learn, will determine if he becomes that number 2 quarterback and the heir apparent.
Yeah.
Because he does have an attitude. We saw that with his body language and his facial expressions during the draft. And as I said, if you listen to the side of the Mark Vrabel call to him, it seemed like he was trying to reassure him and calm him down a little bit in the beginning. Just my thought.
Okay. All right, we go to and this is ironic. It's ironic, but this is where we're going to go. The last team that we're talking about would be the Washington Commanders and Mr. FSP2U's team. Okay? So we're going to talk about the Washington Commanders, who had all 7 picks in order, didn't trade in or out of their picks. They all maintained all of their picks, which is, I wouldn't say it was odd, but it's one of the few teams that didn't move around on the draft board. And with their first pick, which was the 16th pick, they picked up a cornerback, Emmanuel Forbes from Mississippi State. Second round, they picked up another cornerback, Jartavius Martin from Illinois.
Safety. He's going to be a safety, by the way.
Okay, whatever. It said cornerback here.
No, I know. I'm saying.
Okay.
He's going to be a safety.
Third round pick was a center, Ricky Stromberg from Arkansas. Fourth round was a tackle, Braden Daniels from Utah. Fifth round was an edge rusher, KJ Henry from Clemson. Sixth round was a running back, Chris Rodriguez from Kentucky, which is a strange pick to me. And the 7th round was a linebacker, Andre Jones from Louisiana. Talk to me about your Washington Commanders, Mr. FSP2U.
So I'll say this, and if you saw the live show draft day on Fantasy Sports and Politics channel, I was a little shocked. I was a little upset. You
were upset
about the pick of Mr. Forbes over who was sitting there, Mr. Gonzalez.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there are big concerns about Mr. Gonzalez. People say they're small, but they're kind of big to the point where teams and even Jalen Ramsey, current NFL cornerback that has a reputation himself, said Forbes was an excellent pick. Forbes, I think we should have got Gonzalez for the body frame because they're very comparable, except Forbes has more touchdowns. He has a SEC record, 6 touchdowns scored on the defensive side of the ball, plus special teams. It's pretty good. Can't knock it. And the more I looked at it, Forbes has the pedigree, not saying he's Deion Sanders' son or nothing like that, but he reminds me of Deion Sanders. Very good eyes for the ball, very good cover skills, can make up speed. I mean, has great makeup speed because he runs a 4.3, 4.35, 4.34, whatever it was.
4.35, I think it was.
because Gonzalez ran a 4.358. Not that far off. But the kid has skills. It's just his weight. And one thing that people have said is he's not afraid to hit. And I saw some stuff. He's not afraid to hit. But that's college. And I know that's the SEC, which is junior NFL. But, brother, he's going to be a dog. I thought Washington could have got him in the second round because nobody was really checking for him because of his weight instead of Martin. But it is what it is. One thing I didn't like is the fact they didn't address the tight end. When they had the opportunity to get an outstanding tight end, they got a left tackle or guard, I believe, and a center. They just released their last center. He has health issues. They're going to save like 8-point-something million, but take $4 million in dead cap space. So that clears up some money. And they didn't get a quarterback, which was interesting to me. That means Sam Howell and Jacoby are the only quarterbacks we're going to have. They did get one quarterback. My mistake. They got one quarterback, but he's probably not going to make the team. If he makes the team, he's going to be the third stringer. Sam Howell was a projected first rounder a year ago, got picked in the 5th, and I guess Eric Bieniemy didn't want to make any waves and said, okay, well, we can use this guy. We can do what we need to do with this guy. And he's projected to be the starter. With the weapons they have, it's going to be pretty interesting. The grade, I give him a C-.
C-, really?
Well,
wow.
Well, here's why. You know what? Let me bump that. Let me bump that. I give him a C+. I bumped that because I like Forbes, but not as their very first pick. I like Martin because he can play corner and safety. And I like the Arkansas center because Arkansas can run the ball.
Yep.
His problem was pass protection. He was okay, but he set too high. And you set too high in the NFL,
you can get run over.
Exactly. Right?
Yep.
If you're running the ball, he's your man. The guard/tackle, they didn't address the left tackle spot. That's my problem. They drafted a left tackle, but they're going to bump him in, from what I understand. So that still leaves Leno as the left tackle.
Okay.
Not impressed. And they didn't get the monster linebacker. I don't get it. They got a linebacker, they didn't get a monster linebacker when they could have. That's why I give them a C+.
Okay.
A C to a C+.
PFF gave him a B, a solid B. All right.
I gave him a B.
Okay. No problem. That concludes the draft review of the 32 teams, 31 teams, because Miami didn't have a first round pick, but they did have picks. 32 teams in the NFL draft of 2023. Tune in next week. It'll be Mother's Day, and it'll also be, as usual, the second Sunday of the month. I'll be doing my mock draft 5.0. Unfortunately, Mr. FFP will miss that.
Actually, I'll probably do it, just not see this. You probably won't see a thing, but I'll be tired as I don't know what. So if I sound sleepy, it's because I am sleepy.
Okay, Mr. FFP. Let me put it this way, people. And I'm gonna take a shot today. I'm gonna take one shot today.
Well, he took a shot with his wife. I ain't gonna tell y'all just yet. So you're gonna take a shot at me.
Mr. FFP. Let me say this. Mr. FFP said yesterday. Yesterday he said he won't have a show. He won't be on any show next weekend.
Yep.
because of what he has to do. But since I just announced my mock draft 5.0, Mr. FSP is going to want to make a point of getting on that show.
Because it's going to wake me up. It's going to wake me up. I know.
Because he can't wait to criticize my first 12 picks in my fantasy football 5.0 mock draft. But that's okay. Because I want the criticism. I want the criticism. I welcome the criticism because it's because it's a work in progress. I've always said this. I haven't denied it. It's a work in progress. So my first draft, which was the second weekend in January, and my fifth draft, mock draft, which is the second week, Sunday in May, are not the same. And in between, none of them are the same. They've always been different. But as we get closer, and I'll emphasize this every month until we get to August, I'll emphasize this. It's always a work in progress, and it's going to the main goal of refining it to where I think exactly teams are going to draft in August, late August, whatever, in the early part of September before the fantasy football season starts. So it's always going to be a work in progress. I've always said that. It's not like it's written in stone. This is the mock. No, August is the target month for the exact what I think it should be, and I think I've come pretty close doing mock drafts leading up to August, where most people start really getting serious about drafting fantasy football players. So I welcome the criticism because it's a work in progress. I want to see where the knock is and where the hurt is. There's going to be some surprises. I guarantee it. I said it last month. I say it this month. Going to be some surprises. I'm working on it right now. It's going to be a lot of surprises. And it's going to be a lot of criticism from Mr. FSP to you. And it just goes to show you, how much he wants to be in on that mock draft. When yesterday he said he wasn't going to be available next week.
Because I didn't know what you were doing.
And next week he wants to get on that program. So people, I welcome it. I mean,
I'm not guaranteeing that I'm going to be there.
Yeah, but there's always that but. Go ahead.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna go in my truck
and I'm gonna
peek you over my sound system, and I might be getting woken up right because the show starts at 7. They're gonna blast the cannon at 7. So yeah, after they blast the cannon, I'll probably be able to call in and give you what for.
No problem. People, every second Sunday, as much as I can, I'm doing my mock draft. Like I said, this is my mock draft, my fifth mock draft. May's the 5th month, 5.0. Fantasy football mock draft. Every month has been a surprise. I got a bunch of surprises in this one.
He got a bunch of surprises too, especially when one of his friends is around.
I got a bunch of surprises, people. Trust me, this is going to be this is an old term, a humdinger. This is going to be a humdinger. Trust me. This is going to be one of those. What are you thinking about? Type of drafts,
bro. Don't do that because you know I'm gonna light you up.
Trust me when I'm telling you. Trust me when I'm telling you. This one is going to be off the chain. Off the chain. The chain. I'm telling you. Just remember this. Off the chain. I'm telling you. Just remember that. Just remember this.
Are you recording the show or you just
remember that. Somebody beating the table. Who was beating the table in the draft? Just remember that.
Several people.
This guy was demonstrative and beating the table. I'm glad a particular player.
The general manager of the Detroit Lions. The villain.
Hey, you say, come on, Victor.
No, that's. I told you about the shirts they had made. He had villain.
I know that, but you didn't have to say that right now. That's typical.
Why not?
Typical.
Because you're a villain.
Oh God. Whatever.
We're talking about why you're a villain. Let's talk about that before we go off air.
What?
Let's talk about why you're a villain. You know, you posted up in the club.
Like I said. I said it yesterday, and that's the only time you're going to hear it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, he's a villain. Don't leave hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your girlfriends, hide your daughters.
Enjoy the rest of the week. Be safe. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is when I'll be back on air on next Sunday, Mother's Day. And Mr. FSPTU will not be there on Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but he may show up on my mock draft just to be an agitator. It is what it is. We'll talk to you later. Peace.